Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Ham Nation is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by PillPack, a full-service online pharmacy that combines modern technology, convenient packaging, and personalized service to make your life easier. Visit pillpack.com/twit to save $20 on vitamins and OTCs when you transfer your prescriptions. By ICOM. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation. And by DX Engineering. DX Engineering offers practically everything you need to outfit your shack, plus the fastest shipping in the industry. In-stock items ship the same day, Monday through Friday until 10 p.m. Eastern. For more information, visit dxengineering.com/hamnation.
This is Ham Nation, episode number 243, April 13th, 2016. Valerie joins Leo Laporte in the Twit studio while Bob solders a microphone connector. Hello, everybody. Yep, it's me. I'm back. This is Bob Heil, K9EID. I'm in the Ozarks, and I'm live, not hanging out on somebody's stages or rehearsal halls or wherever. And boy, we have got a blockbuster. We tell you this every week, but I'm telling you, this one is a big one. And here is why. Let's go see who all's here. And there's a long list. Quickly, how are you doing, Gordo, in Costa Mesa? You doing good? And you have a friend?
We are doing great, and I can't wait to see all that's going on up at Visalia, as well as hearing about it at the Twit studio. And joining me is Jim in 6JF. We'll tell you more about loops in a second.
Okay, and then we're going to go down to see what's going on in Mississippi, and the soldering irons are hot. I understand we're going to solder some connectors. That's great. Hi, George. How you doing?
Hi, Bob. Doing just fine here. Yeah, we're going to bring back a video of how to solder a PL259 tonight for those who still have to install them, and I think that's most of us.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then we got Don. Don, how are you? The iHeartRadio dude from down in southern Mississippi.
I'm doing good. You know, you do have to install those PL259s unless you buy them pre-installed from DX Engineering, which we'll talk about probably in a little bit. But
Nice.
We're also going to talk about solar weather tonight with Dr. Scove. So big show tonight, and let's get on it.
Okay, well, we're also going to talk about soldering some of these things. I'm actually going to do it live. You'll see me burn my fingers or whatever. But before all of that happens, look who joined us tonight. Back to Petaluma. Hello, Leo.
All right.
Got the whole gang. Well, no, we don't have the whole gang. What happened, you guys? You're supposed to be here.
The important gang is here.
Yeah, actually, the important folks are here, yeah.
We had 4 chairs.
We don't have enough chairs for you guys. That's right. There's no table big enough to host the whole Ham Nation crew. You're exactly right. But I brought something because I'm working on getting my advanced, and I got to be ready for the test. So I thought I'd bring my calculator along with me. So I'm ready.
Right.
I'm ready for when those power. What is it? Power times watts equals energy over squared. I'm ready.
Something like that.
You could use this, Gordo. Come on.
A K&E slide rule.
I know you know how to use this. Is this a fine pick? What is it? Pickering from Pickett. There it is. Pickett with a nice, beautiful hairline cursor, and it's solid plywood.
That's really cool.
I thought we'd show some analog slipstick activity here. Anyway, you guys are doing great. This show is a hit on the whole network. I hear from people all over the world who come to Twit because of the hams. So thank you very much for the great work you do. And the show's gotten bigger and better every time. It's just wonderful. So I really appreciate you doing this.
Leo, a lot of it has to do with those two gentlemen on the end of the table. They have supported it all along, and they really help. And so we're honored for ICOM and DX Engineering, as well as all the other sponsors. But Tim, we're so blessed that you're with us, and I think that Ray ICOM's been with us from the beginning also. So thanks very much.
Indeed.
Because it is fun, and we appreciate you doing that, Tim.
Well, we're thrilled. I was telling Valerie earlier, we get so many comments from our customers about Ham Nation, and then they stick around to watch other shows.
They do,
on
and
the
it's
Twit
true.
Network.
Yeah, it's really great for us. Yeah.
You know, I've told some of them, you know, I said you could watch Twit all day long, and you could learn so much, but the Ham Nation show has just taken fire.
Nice.
And we, again, it has been a tremendous outlet for getting new hams.
Yes.
And the upgrades too. But you know, people get exposed to it. They find
it's really good.
They find Ham Nation. They find Twit, and you know, and it's not only the younger generation. We got guys, you know, well up into their 80s watching. I'm going to go watch TV on my computer. How cool
That's
is
pretty
that?
cool. I know, that is
cool
pretty
that?
great. Yeah, we're teaching.
And I know when I can't make it for Wednesday night to watch it live, I'm in the office the next morning. Your crew's great on getting it posted. And I've got it playing through my sound system in the office, watching it while I'm doing emails. And I get people hanging outside the office window watching the show.
great.
So, I mean, it's fun to be a part of it.
Just
I'm
tell 'em
glad
to
that
come
you
on in.
invited me, Bob.
And you can, will you let me keep the radios for a little longer, Ray? Just a little longer.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, with me not being able to participate a whole lot, I'm bringing in a new guy that really shifts the age of the cast down dramatically.
What is he, 40?
I thought that was my job.
He's 26.
26, yeah.
He's got Val beat by 3 years.
Wow,
She's 29.
nice. Wow.
He's 26.
So close.
No, I hear from a lot of young people who have discovered it. In fact, even on the radio show, we'll get young people calling and say, I'm a ham. And I think that's really exciting because that's a great way. We talked to a kid the other day. He was, I think, 14, and he was a ham. And, you know, I said, well, do you do the analog stuff? He said, I do both, but a lot of it I do on my laptop. A lot of it's digital. And I think it's a great way for kids who like technology to get excited about something new and something they can really get their hands on and do. My God, Ray, you've not only lost a few years, you've lost a few pounds.
Miraculous transformation.
It's incredible.
Miraculous.
Get this shot over here. Look what happened to Ray. He just shrunk away. He withered away.
These things happen.
This is another Ray's colleague from ICOM, right?
Yeah,
That's correct.
So this is Will.
Hi, Will.
Will Jourdain.
Hi, Will.
AA4WJ. Hey, everybody. Hello, Ham Nation.
Hi.
And what's
to
your
be
call
here.
again?
AA4WJ.
That's a good call. I like
Yeah.
that.
Hey, he got his initials.
Yeah.
Vanity,
Yeah.
the whole
Wow.
shebang.
Pretty
I didn't
good.
mention W6, I should say Whiskey 6, Tango Whiskey Tango. I like the whiskey.
Yeah.
We can still use that,
My
right?
favorite beverage.
I don't mind tangoing either, actually, for that matter.
You need a foxtrot in there.
I don't have any
Get it all.
foxtrots.
Well, one of the things that keeps the show so vibrant is all of these different people that we have. Valerie has been just enormous in bringing the contest and the DX crowd. She's one of the leading persons in our industry about DX, and she has a great persona on the air. We appreciate what she's doing, and Jerry supports her. And then we've got Dale doing all the videos, and Amanda is just, she's really done a great job of keeping the chat room together. And there's just all of this talent. And we've got 2 or 3 new hosts coming on. And that of course, broadens the whole scope and spectrum of what this show is all about. But what we really try to do is to bring live things like you heard a while ago, George is going to do some soldering. We get a lot of requests from people, and you think, oh, I know how to do that. Well, yeah, but there are thousands watching that don't. So we try to bring that to us. I'm going to do a microphone connector. I'm going to solder it here, the ground thing after a while. And then we've got Gordo. He goes out and does all kinds of stuff. So I tell you what, if that's okay with you guys in Petaluma, What do you think, Leo? We want to go down and visit Costa Mesa and see what kind of trouble he can get into?
Absolutely. I'm going to say goodbye, guys, because I got to go. But it's great to see you. I hope we see each other soon. I'm sorry I'm not going to see you at the DX Engineering Party at NAB.
Yeah.
We're going to miss you, Bob.
Next Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So if you get an opportunity to talk about it,
We will. We'll give you a big plug.
Yeah, give us a big plug
Yeah.
because we like having people come in and just have a
a lot
good
of fun.
time.
We had a lot of
you
fun
know, and
there.
celebrate
Yeah,
this
yeah.
hobby. And thanks to you, Leo, for everything you've done to make this
Yes,
show
really,
go.
thank you so
And-
much
Well,
for giving us an outlet
That's
for
exactly what we built this
ham
for.
radio.
Yeah.
And I'm keeping that Collins, too. I'm sorry. You're not.
I was thinking I might play on that a little bit after the show.
It's really cool.
Have a go at it.
It's really, really cool. Well, thanks, guys. 7-3.
Thanks, Leo.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
I'm taking my slide rolling, splitting.
Thanks for joining us, Leo. It's really great to have you. We'll have to do more of it and maybe get you in and talk to the chat room a little bit. So hang on up there. We'll watch those characters because they could get you in trouble. It's nice to see you. Let's go to Costa Mesa for a while. What do you got going, Gordo? It's all yours.
Well, we're soon to talk about loops, but remember, this is the big Visalia weekend that Val and the team will tell us more about. And this is also the concurrent weekend of the VHF-UHF big get-together in Washington, D.C. This Sunday, Rookie Roundup. Work those rookies out there. Know when you were licensed to give that information on the air. Then in about 2.5 weeks, I'll see you at the Nevada State Convention in Las Vegas, Nevada, where we'll have an instructor academy. Then 2 weeks later, Rocky Mountain near Denver, and then of course Dayton, and we'll see everybody at Dayton. But right now, meet my buddy Jim Ford, N6JF, and Jim, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
And let's jump right into loop antennas. So Brian, if you'll go ahead and roll the short shots. Jim, what have we got here? And tell us all about loops. Jim?
Well, this is a loop I built because I wanted to have an antenna I could fit in my trunk and use it for portable operation and have minimal setup.
Wow, in the trunk of your car? Well, that's a pretty good deal. And Brian, if you go to the next shot, and here's Jim holding the loop. Now, Jim, give us just maybe 20, 30 seconds about what's the big deal about magnetic loop antennas.
Well, magnetic loop antennas are good in that they're very small. They're efficient for their size, but to make them efficient, you have to pay a lot of attention to construction details. That is, having minimal resistance in the loop, which is what I did, and I can talk about it when you want.
Oh, that's great, Jim. And the big deal is he's going to try and get that into that small car. So it's a small loop. And Jim, how about giving us some instructions on what it takes to make all these joints low resistance?
Well, these joints are soldered, really not soldered. They call them brazed with something they call Silvalloy 15, which is 15% silver, 80% copper, and 5% phosphorus. And you need MAP gas, and you solder the joint. You braze the joints, and it's easy to work with because you don't need any flux, and it works good. But you really have to do it right to make this resistance low.
Yeah, I can imagine, Jim. And Brian, the next shot. So, Jim, regular solder doesn't work if you're doing it out of copper?
Certainly not as well, because you really need to get the resistance down very low.
And what is the resistance on your loop tonight?
About 1.4 milliohms.
Oh, wow. All right, well, let's take a little look at what it takes to braze them or solder them. What do we got here?
Well, that's a Silvalloy. I bought that on eBay, and they're about $2 a stick, and I've used, I think, 7 sticks to braze this.
Wow. And, of course, you have to get it real hot with a blowtorch, right?
Yes, and you have to use what they call MAP gas, which is, I don't think regular propane gas is good enough, but MAP gas is certainly available at Home Depot or any place like that. Not that expensive.
Okay. Well, let's take another look at the loop itself. Now, this is the, 1/5 size loop of the regular magnetic loop, and is it connected?
No, it is not connected. It's totally isolated from the main loop, and the coax connector at the bottom. One end of the coax connects to the center, and the other connects to the frame, just like normal.
Wow.
And then the other end of the coax, the braid is open, but the center lead shorts back to the frame of the connector. So there's a DC short there.
Wow. So it almost looks like a shunt feed, and there's no connection actually to the copper, huh?
No connection. It's totally inductive coupling.
Wow. Well, that's pretty amazing. Now, the important capacitor.
Yes, I was going to build this with a vacuum variable capacitor, but they're heavy, they're expensive, and they may not have the total range. So what I did was get a fixed capacitor of 140 picofarads, which goes in there only on 40 meters.
Oh, okay.
And then you take that off for 10 megahertz and up to 28.7.
Wow. And let's take a look at that vacuum variable, or vacuum that's not variable.
Yes, this variable capacitor is a 2-section capacitor. You do not and you cannot use the rotating contact. So you use 2 capacitors in series, and you do not connect to the frame.
Okay.
Anyway, you try to make as much the resistance as low as possible, and that's certainly critical to this whole operation. But the idea behind this is to be able to make it work on 40 meters when you have this fixed capacitor in there, which, by the way, costs $27 on eBay. The variable capacitor is 200 picofarad sections, 2,000 volts. But when you connect them in series, it's a 100 picofarad at 4,000 volts.
Got it. So it's not going to arc over at, well, how many watts do you run through this setup?
I think max is about 100 watts, and the current through it is at 100 watts is 39 amps.
Woo! Wow.
And about 3,700 volts. So you're pushing things here.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you really got to watch the tolerances carefully. So now you're going to mount this, and yet you can take it apart and put it in your car, huh?
Yes, I have a tripod frame, which it snaps onto the tripod frame, and you can rotate it. One of the advantages of a magnetic loop is it's low noise. And not only low noise, with this particular tripod frame, you can rotate it such that you have the best signal, and it's easy to do. Wow. Also, I might add that the signal rotates not through the loop, but along the plane of the antenna.
Ah, not broadside, but in line with the loop itself. And
absolutely.
What's this? It looks like a little NE2, huh?
Well, that's a crude max power indicator. I mean, I'm not sure. You just tune that for maximum, and you would be probably reasonably close.
All right.
But certainly an SWR meter is certainly desirable.
That we have. Let's take a look at the Q of the antenna. And here's Jim doing the tuning, and we're on 40. And a quick look at this, and what do we have when we're off resonance? What, by 7 kilohertz?
Yeah, there was right at the top end of 40 there. That's 2-to-1 SWR right there.
And on frequency?
There, right down to zip, 1-to-1.
And a little lower in frequency.
That's 2-to-1 again. So we're talking roughly 12 kilohertz for a 2-to-1 SWR bandwidth.
Wow. So the magnetic loop antenna is very high Q. And because we're working off the magnetic side of the electromagnetic wave, it's going to be low on noise. And this is your homebrewed tripod, huh?
Yes, and it works good. I might also add that on 20 meters, it's about 3 or 4 times that bandwidth, and on 10 meters, which it does make, it's about 175 kilohertz.
Oh wow! Well, that's plenty for a new tech to wander on 10 meters to get started in ham radio. And there's that tripod, huh?
Yeah, it just snaps. It just snaps in on that tripod. And you might also say that you can't have it near metal very much. And certainly the tripod that's why it's made out of PVC. It couldn't be made out of metal.
Roger that. Well, Jim, that was a great review. Any last words for our viewers and listeners about the benefits of a magnetic loop antenna?
Well, it's should be low noise, and you can rotate it easily, and it'll fit inside my car.
There you go for a little bit of field day roaming around. Well, Jim, N6JF, thank you so much. And we've got that antenna right here, and it looks like it's raring to go. So, Bob, there we go. I'm going to turn it back over. Bob, I'm going to turn it back over to you. And if you have any questions, let me know. Bob, over to you.
That was excellent. And those are very useful antennas, especially for 160 and 75 meters. That's great, Jim. Nice job. Really appreciated you doing that. That's super duper. Well, we're going to run down to Mississippi again because I think Don has something to talk about our pills. Is that right, Don? What are we doing?
I do. You know, we have Dr. Bob and we have Dr. Scove, and those, of course, are two fun kinds of doctors, but occasionally you got to see the medical doctors as well, and they typically write you a little something called a prescription, and those are never any fun to get filled. And it's never any fun dealing with the drudgery of the traditional pharmacy. You wait around at the counter to be told your stuff isn't ready, and you got to come back. You got to hassle with the sorting. You've seen all the pictures of my mother-in-law up there in Cincinnati with the FedEx box full of pills. On top of that, to constantly be in contact with your doctor or insurance company, it's a pain. Well, there's a new tech company that is disrupting the pharmacy space, and it's called PillPack. It's an online pharmacy that will make you wonder why you ever settled for a traditional pharmacy. It works just like a regular pharmacy, except they deliver your prescriptions right to your door, so you never have to wait in line. The technology is so advanced, they sort your medications and vitamins by the dose, so you avoid the confusion of sorting your own pills. And the packaging, you'll see the packaging here in just a second. It's just amazing. The pill packs go through an image recognition system that ensures the right pill is in the right pack. And you even detect dispensing accuracy by size and shape, and they handle any issues with your doctor and insurance, so you don't have to. The best part is it's free. You just pay your regular copays like any other pharmacy. And this is what it looks like right here. This is in my hand is the actual pill pack thing. You see it's small, and on the back side, you see it's got a list of all your scripts and pictures. And here are the actual packs right here with, there's your day and your time. And on the back, you can see through them. You can see exactly what you're taking and the list in the front. And what's great about this is if you have to travel, you're going to be gone a week. You just rip off a week's worth of this, throw it in your bag. You don't have to mess with those stupid clamshell pill dispensers that you have to refill. And then, of course, they come apart and you drop them on the floor and the pills go everywhere. And, of course, if you do that at home, you got to worry, oh, my God, don't let the dog eat my rheumatism medicine. This eliminates so much crap. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love PillPack. Other people love it too. Time Magazine called it a top 25 invention. Jill Duffy gave it a great review in PC Magazine. Is she any relation to Tim? Probably not, but that's not the point. Visit pillpack.com/twit. Sign up now. It's only going to take you 5 minutes. You can get started. They take care of everything for you. And when you use a link and transfer your prescriptions to PillPack, you'll get credit for $20 worth of vitamins and OTCs. Pillpack.com/twit. I'm telling you, you're going to love this. And I showed you the pictures of my mother-in-law. She had to go up to Cincinnati because my brother-in-law's in the hospital. And she only thought she was going to be gone for, a couple of days. She's been up there for 2 months now. Had to have all of her prescriptions FedEx to her, and she's sitting there at the table putting her pills for 40 minutes in the clamshell thing. And, of course, she dropped it. And the dog, don't let the dog eat it. It's eliminate all that. PillPack. Plus not having all those pills on your counter, just one nice blue box. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. Pillpack.com/twit. Let's go to the news of the week now with Amateur Radio Newsline. From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2006, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, April 13th, 2016. In Florida, the scene spelled disaster. The crash of a bus and a train. But it was just a drill, but an important one. We hear details from Amateur Radio Newsline's Paul Brown, WD9 GCO.
The April 1 mock disaster was organized to challenge area hospital emergency departments as well as first responders. And with area hams on the alert throughout, planners said it proved a useful learning experience. Hendry County's Emergency Management Director Brian Newhouse, KJ4WIC, led staff and reservists through the procedures as 13 people who were made up with simulated injuries awaited attention, triage, and transport. Brenda Barnes, planning consultant and public information officer for the Florida Department of Health in Hendry and Glades counties, proclaimed the drill a successful training exercise and praised it for helping strengthen the working relationships among the hams and emergency professionals. It was also a great way to showcase the need for more active, responsive, licensed hams. Hendry County Emergency Management plans to host a free ham radio training session on Saturday, April 16th, and will also provide free CERT training on June.
Spring brings the start of hurricane season, and the Hurricane WatchNet isn't just on the lookout for storms, but for licensed hams, too. Here's Amateur Radio Newsline's Stephen Kinford in 8WB.
May isn't that far away, and neither are hurricanes in some parts of the country. According to the Hurricane WatchNet, the Eastern Pacific storm season begins May 15th and ends November 30th. Hurricanes also become more of a likelihood in the Atlantic between June 1st and November 30th, but sometimes hurricanes can and do occur out of season. So the Hurricane WatchNet is hoping to get a jump on the season by attracting additional net control operators in hopes that radio amateurs will step forward to serve as net control stations and provide other support. According to Bobby Graves, KB5 HAV, manager of the Hurricane WatchNet, experienced operators are needed, especially those who are bilingual in Spanish and English. Operators need to be prepared for long hours under stressful conditions. Although net control stations must become members of the Hurricane WatchNet, stations serving as reporting stations or as observers do not need membership. To assist the Hurricane WatchNet, visit the membership information page at www.hwn.org.
World Amateur Radio Day is right around the corner. Hams around the world may not be close enough to extend their hands in friendship, so they extend their antennas instead. That's the spirit behind World Amateur Radio Day, a day of even more on-air fellowship than usual. That would be April 18th, which falls on a Monday this year. The date marks the founding in 1925 of the International Amateur Radio Union. The IARU is encouraging groups to promote their activities on that day via social media using the hashtag WARD2016. And to make use of a poster and flyer, both downloadable from their website at IARU.org. Finally, a reminder that the nominating period for the Bill Pasternak Young Ham of the Year Award is now open. More info and the nominating form can be found on the Newsline website under the YHOTY tab. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for over 37 years and counting at www.arnewsline.org. With Paul Brown, WD9GCO, Stephen Kinford, NAWB, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team worldwide. I'm Don Welbanks at AE5DW. 73. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. And now, here is the solar update with Dr. Tamitha Skov.
We're in the middle of some fast wind that's hitting Earth right now and giving us some sporadic aurora. Plus, we have 3 more solar storms that are en route, and they should hit us later this week, and they'll amplify the effects. Those stories and more in the news this week. The sun's activity has really picked up this week with region 2529, which was firing solar storms before it even came into view. Since it's rotated into Earth view, it has continued to fire off solar storms. As a matter of fact, we have 3 of them. They were launched earlier this week, and they should be hitting Earth starting around the 14th through the 17th. Plus, we have this huge coronal hole that's been giving us some fast wind, so all of these effects are going to give us some good chance for aurora, but are going to tank the ham radio bands. Switching to our M-flare threat meter, you can see we actually have had some pretty good increase compared to last week in the solar flux levels. We still haven't reached an M-flare level, but region 2529 is popping off C-class flares. It continues to do so. It will probably continue to do so as it continues to rotate off of the disk. It is beginning to settle down just a little bit, but it's giving us some good radio propagation on the bands. Unfortunately, we do have those solar storms that are going to be hitting us, and that's going to cause some disturbances probably for the rest of the week. Switching to our solar storm conditions, you can see back on the 7th and into the 8th, we did get hit by a stealthy solar storm. Since then, things had calmed down and been kind of quiet, which gave us some good amateur radio propagation for a little bit. But then right around the 12th, that fast wind finally hit us, and it's popped us up through minor storm conditions for a short while and now back down to active conditions. Things might get just a little bit better for about another, day or so. Then they'll pop back up again when these solar storms start hitting us, and that should continue through the week. Switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we are in the middle of that high-speed stream, and it's going to get worse as soon as these solar storms start hitting us. At high latitudes, NOAA is expecting about minor storm conditions with about a 70% chance of a major storm over the next few days. At mid-latitudes, we're only expecting about a 30% chance for a minor storm. Things should quiet down. We'll have a little bit of a respite. The ham bands should get a little bit better, but then on Sunday, things should pop back up again when we expect yet another of these solar storms to hit us, and that should carry us throughout the weekend. Switching to your solar flare and particle radiation storm outlook over the coming week, we do have region 2529 that is actively firing off C-class flares. So NOAA is giving us about a 10% chance for an M-class flare, but you amateur radio operators should be fine. That shouldn't be a big deal. But you GPS operators, if you happen to be operating, let's say, a drone or something near the gray line, that means near the terminator, you might actually have a little bit of GPS degradation. So just be careful, just because C-class flares can do that. But the nice thing is that the flux levels have returned to pretty high levels, which means you amateur radio operators will enjoy some good propagation as soon as we get through these solar storms. So this week looks to have a lot of potential. We're already in the middle of a high-speed wind that is giving us some aurora that's kind of sporadic, but it's pretty much all over. Now, when these 3 solar storms either hit us or graze us, that could intensify these effects. So your aurora photographers, keep your cameras out and ready. And you amateur radio operators, well, you just kind of probably have to ride these storms until, they die down, which will be sometime after the 17th. I'm Tamitha Skov. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Dr. T. We do appreciate you being here with us, and you really need to follow her on Twitter and send her a thank you note if you appreciate what she does for us. She got some time out of her very, very busy schedule to do these specifically for us, and we do appreciate it. Hey, if you're going to be up in north central Indiana around Kokomo, the Kokomo Amateur Radio Club this Saturday is having their Ham Fest. It's going to be at the Miami County 4-H Fairgrounds, Kokomo Amateur Radio Club. I give you the talk-in repeater is the 147345, 147345, Miami County Amateur Radio Club repeater. VE testing, all kinds of cool stuff. So up there, the 11th annual North Central Indiana Ham Fest. And I'll bet you, George, they'll probably have some PL259 plugs up there that you can solder on. You might, in fact, if you're going to be up there, somebody please send Tommy a bag because he's probably getting low. George, let's solder some PL plugs, shall we?
Okay, Don. Yeah, as a matter of fact, this is a video that I shot, actually before I started using HD cameras, and you'll pick up on that right away, I'm sure. This was done back, I believe it was December of 2009 on how to solder a PL259. I haven't changed my mind any since then. This is still the way that I do it. I know some people do it a little differently, but this is, I think how it's traditionally done. So let's take a look. I prefer RG213 over RG8 when I need a large coax because it's lower loss and it's got a little heavier shield on it generally. That won't matter so much on HF frequencies, but on VHF and UHF frequencies it could. Now for the connector, we've got a PL259 here, which I think may be one of the best PL259s I've ever owned. My friend Wayne, KG5RE, picked these up for me. I got a handful of them. He got them at a Ham Fest a year or so back, and I haven't used any of them yet, so this will be my first experience with them. I noticed that it's a gold-plated tip on it. It appears to be gold-plated, and the rest of it appears like it could be silver-plated, and which is great too, because both gold and silver are good conductors, and they solder pretty easy too. Now, like I said, this came from a Ham Fest, and some of the best components and some of the worst components I've ever seen came from a Hamfest. So we'll know more about this one as we get started. I'll hold the connector up beside the cable here, and I want to have just a little bit extra sticking out the end just in case. So I'll figure that about right here would be the right amount of center conductor. So I'll put a mark on my cable there. Now I like to use a single edge razor blade to get through that shield and cut it good and smooth edge on it there. If you're going to use one of these though, be careful, and you only want to use enough pressure just to cut through the shield and not all the way through to the center conductor. And as I do this, I can kind of feel it cutting the shield, and that's my clue to let up and not go any further. I'm going to go to a pocket knife, and we'll just right above the shield there, we'll cut it back. And there again, being careful on how much pressure we use, because we don't want to nick the center conductor, because that'll make it weak. I'll give it a little twist here. We'll estimate that we'll need about this much of the shield exposed. So we'll take our pocket knife again, and we'll be real careful this time because we don't want to break that shield. And as small as the conductors are in it, it would be real easy to break. There we go. Let's compare it against our connector again. Looks like we should be in good shape. Now to solder a PL259, we're going to need some pretty serious heat, not enough to burn up the cable and the connector. In a lot of cases, a pencil soldering iron won't be strong enough for this. I'm going to use my trusty old Weller WLC 100 soldering station here, which does get hot enough. And I'm going to change out this smaller tip and put a larger one in there so that it'll transfer the heat better. Now this has been on for a while and it's hot, so I'm going to be careful not to burn myself. And there's a good chisel tip there. Although I'm using solder that has flux in it already, and I'm using an electrical grade solder, not acid core, since that'll just destroy the connection later. I'm a firm believer though in soldering paste, and I've got a little box here of Caster rosin soldering paste. So we'll add this extra flux to the shield here to make it work a little better. When you add some extra flux to it, it just helps the solder to flow and stick better, and you can do it without getting quite so hot. So a little soldering paste in a case like this is a good thing in my opinion. Now this is the trick that I like. We want to tin this whole shield rather than just sliding the shield up in the connector here like it is loose here, which is just going to bunch up and get all tangled up inside of here. We'll go ahead and tin this and make it a good flat solid piece there. Then when we go to put the solder in the holes here, the process will go much quicker and we won't have to get this connector as hot. We'll start by heating up the shield, and then we'll apply the solder right to the shield, not so much to the iron. And as you can see with that paste on there, it immediately starts to flow. Now this shield's got to be good and clean. If it's corroded or tarnished, you're not going to get the solder to flow on it like you want. The braid or the shield, if you, whatever you want to call it, has been tinned all the way around. You see there's still some excess flux on there. We'll take a rag and some denatured alcohol and clean that excess flux off of there because it's not needed now. We'll take our blade now and go back and cut off this extra center insulation here so that it ends about the same place that the shield stops. Now let's put a little flux on this center conductor and let's tin it as well, because everything that's tinned in advance is just going to make this go quicker. Let's take that denatured alcohol and paper towel here and clean some of that off. Now we want to look here to be sure that there's no solder bridges between the shield and the center conductor and that everything looks good and clean there. Let's look at our distances again here on the PL259. And that looks about right to me. Since this, we believe, is a silver-plated connector, it's probably going to solder pretty easy. But there's a lot of connectors out there that won't solder so well, especially the ones that you get at Radio Shack. And it kind of helps if you take a drill bit and put it in the holes, twist it around, and just kind of get us down to some good clean bare metal. If you notice here, it's not wanting to go down. That's because the shield here with the solder on it is a little bit fat to go down inside the hole. This is an old set of crimpers that I bought at an auto parts store years ago, and it's just the right size for crimping around this coax and getting this down good and round again. Oh, it slips right on now. And so at this point, what we need to do is just screw the connector on down onto the outer jacket here until we can see our tinned shield through the holes here, and we're ready to solder to it. And we also got to make sure that the center conductor comes out the tip. Now, what have we forgot? One very important thing. Slide it down, making sure that we've got the right side going toward the connector. If this were a cheaper connector, there's a possibility I would have tinned around all these holes with some solder before we ever started to make sure that we could get the heat to it quick and wouldn't burn up the connector. And here's our center conductor sticking out the tip. And we're also going to need to clip it back because it's a little too long, which is a good thing. Better to be a little too long than a little too short. And we'll take our dikes and we'll put just a little bit of our soldering flux paste on here. We'll heat up the connector just a moment before we start. And now we'll begin applying the solder in there. And just depending on how good the connector is that you got, this could be tough to do. The flux really helps out though. We've got the shield firmly soldered all the way around, and since we had tinned the shield in advance, that's a really strong connection there now. That probably won't ever come loose under normal conditions. And we'll go back and clean that up with another paper towel and a little bit of denatured alcohol. So I don't want to touch my fingers to it, but it does come off a little easier if you do this while the connector's still hot. All 4 holes look like they're soldered well. So all that left now to be done is to solder our tip. Once again, we'll just put a little bit of flux on there. Now this is a nice gold-plated tip, so I'm going to try not to get a lot of solder on the outside of it, just get it to flow down inside. And that's a good idea anyway, because if you get a lot of solder around the outside, it's just going to make the pin too big to go in a lot of the equipment that you want to plug it into. Now, capillary action will cause that solder to be sucked up in the hole, so we won't really have to force it in there. Looks like we did it, and it looks like this was a good connector because the solder took to it real well, stuck good. it didn't melt the conductor or the insulator here that holds the center pin in, so that must have been Teflon or some type of good material. A lot of times the connectors that you get from China, namely some of the Radio Shack ones, that will melt down inside there if you're not very careful, and you've wasted the connector once that's happened. One tiny little burr on it, so we'll clip that off. And you notice we didn't get a lot of solder around the outer edge of the pin here. We still see the gold plating all the way around, which, you know, gold's probably not necessary. Well, there you go, a review of how to solder a PL259 connector. It's really not that difficult. What you need is patience, some solder flux, and soldering iron that'll get hot enough, and a good clean tip on it. You know, if you've got junk for a soldering iron or tip, you're not going to get very far with that. But you really got to apply the heat to your work, and you're going to have to apply it for a while. Most people will use a gun for that, and you know that's probably the most popular way of doing it. But this little WLC 100 over here actually gets hot enough to solder PL259, as you just saw. So that's generally what I use. Well, I asked a question last week. Which of the following actions should you take if a neighbor tells you that your station's transmissions are interfering with their radio or TV reception? Your choices were A, make sure that your station is functioning properly and that it does not cause interference to your own radios and television when it's turned on to the same channel. B, immediately turn off your transmitter and contact the nearest FCC office for assistance. C, tell them that your license gives you the right to transmit and nothing can be done to reduce the interference. That's Gordo's favorite answer, I know. Or D, install a harmonic doubler on the output of your transmitter and tune it until the interference is eliminated. Well, a harmonic doubler is just really too expensive for something like this, if we actually knew what it was. But anyway, we got a winner here. Dennis Hagner, N3AWI said the answer is A. Make sure your station is functioning properly and it does not cause interference on your own radio or television. That's the right answer, Dennis. Congratulations. We're going to send you this MFJ 113 super bright giant LED clock here, if I can show it to you, behind everything. It's a great clock for your ham shack. It's 12 or 24 hours. It's even got an alarm on it. So congratulations, Dennis. We'll be sending that out to you. For next week, I've got another prize and another question. We're going to give away this DX Engineering cap. So whoever'd like that, if you think you know the answer to this question, the question is, what connector does a PL259 mate with? If you know that answer, send it to me, hamnationcontest@gmail.com, and you could win a DX Engineering cap. Okay, let's get a message now from our other sponsor tonight, ICOM. Spring is here. Get out, get mobile with ICOM's D-Star radios. Extend your coverage, display, and capabilities without sacrificing size with ICOM's ID51A Plus, now in 5 colors. Our SMS-1A free download Android application allows personal device connection where you can view locations of repeater sites, send and receive text messages, or send and receive pictures. It's got DV and FM repeater search functions, D-Star DV mode capability, and micro SD card slot. If you're new to D-Star, try ICOM's ID880H. Features include VHF, UHF dual-band functionality, one band at a time, good menu structure, and easy programming. Fast multiple scanning for maximum reception. For the ultimate D-Star mobile experience, hit the road with ICOM's ID5100A. This radio offers hands-free operation, optional Bluetooth capability, large backlit screen for high-contrast viewing, and 50 watts of output power on both VHF and UHF. Visit ICOMAmerica.com for more information on ICOM's D-Star radios. And you can tune in and enter to win after each episode of Ham Nation. Go to ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation. Register for some great swag prizes like T-shirts and hats, and learn how you could win the monthly grand prize, drawing for a new radio each month. And for April, that's going to be the ICOM ID880H VHF UHF digital transceiver. It's analog and D-Star, 50 watts on both VHF and UHF, wideband receive, free CS80/880 cloning software, and a lot more. So go to ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation after this and each episode of Ham Nation and register to win. Sign up, good luck, and don't forget to follow ICOM America Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. And now, Bob, I'm going to toss it back to you and see what we've got going on this week at Audio Alley.
All right, thank you. That was great, and we've got to do more of those kind of things because it's a necessary evil to solder connectors, all kinds of connectors, and we'll get into more of that. And talking about connectors, I thought I would get into what's going on in a microphone connector. It won't take long, but one of the things about a mic connector, in some radios, the shield is not grounded to the chassis. It's in a balanced configuration, and the shield is floating. And I have cured a lot of RFI telling people to do just what we're going to do. And it's very simple in that, see if I can show you this first. This is what's going to happen. What we have to do is take the ground lug. We don't unsolder anything, but we find the ground lug, and like ICOM, most all of them, it's going to be pin 7. Shield comes to pin 7. Leave it all alone. Don't unsolder. What we're going to do is take a straight piece of wire and solder it onto that, and that's going to be our lead to tie it to the chassis. And here is how it's going to happen. It's a very simple thing. Now, I have to tell you this. It's not always the perfect thing to do. In some cases, it doesn't work. It causes more RF because of your ground loops. And you know about all of that stuff that we get into. But I have a situation where many, many times, if you're having RFI, this will help you. So we're going to switch the camera, and I got it all set up down here where you can see the connector. And what you do is take the little bail off, you know, the 2 little Phillips screws. We're going to take those off, and then we can slide this down, exposing that shield that we talked about. Now, if you've got some number 2010 wire, why, that's what we're going to use. But in a lot of cases, you don't have that kicking around. Take a resistor and cut the end of it off. And that's going to be our wire that we're going to solder onto the pin that is holding the shield. So what we're going to do is warm this up a little bit. I'm going to see how lucky I can do this without any kind of vice grips. I should be able to do it and not burn my fingers. What we're going to do, solder it. Well, one thing I want to show you. I want to show you.
Hot, huh?
No, well, I wanted to show you this because it will get hot. Here is a common mistake that a lot of guys make. When they solder, they will take the solder, they'll get it all hot, get some on the tip, and when they put it on there, I don't know if they think it's like glue and they go, there. No, that's not good. Why? Because all you did was cause that solder to cause a little tunnel that the wire can fit into. You did not get that wire hot enough. You've got to get all connectors hot. They all have to be at the same temperature so that the solder flows. Now, we got things all ready to go. We take this and we push it back onto the connector where it came from. Now, one of the things you got to do is work this lead that we just soldered on there back into the bottom of that connector. You see that? There's plenty of room back in there to do that. And after you do that, now we take the wire that we just soldered and we put the bail back on. And when you put this all back together, you wrap that lead around one of the little screws, screw it all down, and you have connected that shield to the chassis, because this is chassis ground. And no matter what you're doing, every once in a while, you want to really make sure that this is tight. And one of the things I did years ago, I hate some of these connectors. They're awful. They got a little bitty thin band on them. A company called Foster owns the patent. We went to them, oh gosh, it's been probably 15 years ago. And I said, I hate your connector. I want to redo it. And they gave me the right to do it. And we have the license to redo their connector. And it really is great. It's a wonderful connector. The cable clamp fits our wire. That's another thing. Even these made cables you get from the companies, they don't make their cables. They get them made by some offshore thing, and they don't fit. And they wrap them with tape and all that. A little bit, they start working loose, and then that's not here. When you brought that bail down and tighten it, it really works as a cable clamp. But now what we have done, we've connected the shield to ground. To the chassis ground, and it's a real easy thing to do. So if you're having some RFI problems, try it. One other thing that we need to cover, because we have discovered that the new 7300 it's becoming a giant. And in the beginning, we weren't sure if dynamic microphones would work or not. We had gotten some early reports from the Europeans that the dynamics didn't work. So I don't know what they were doing, but I haven't had one report of any American sold 7300s that dynamics don't work. But here's the caveat. Be sure that when you hook up a dynamic microphone to the ICOM, remember they have phantom power. And that phantom power is 8 volts running up the mic lead to power an electric. We're not using an electric. We're using a dynamic. But if you don't do this, you could cause smoke city. I mean, you could cause some serious damage to your radio because you're shorting out that 8-volt supply. Don't do that. And it's a real simple fix. Take that again where we were just soldering onto this connector. Go to pin 1. And put in a little 0.47, 0.68. We use a 1 mic. You can't use a 0.1 or a 0.2. I like to use a 1 mic. Then if you do something low like a 0.1, you're going to roll all the low end off of it. So I like to use a 0.47 or to 1 mic, and then it'll be full range. But you must put that in series with the mic lead. Now remember, ICOM is putting 8 volts on that lead, and it's really amazing. Think about this a minute. We've got 8 volts DC going up the mic line, going in to power the FET of the electret. And at the same time, you've got AC audio coming down that same wire. It's cool. AC and DC on the same wire. They don't even know each other's there. But if you don't do that and you put a dynamic element, you see a dynamic element, it's just a piece of coil to ground, you're going to short that 8 volts out, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty. And it's very simple. Just put that in. Now, all of our cables, all of them that we make for the ICOM, for the dynamics, already have that capacitor in there. But if you make up your own, be sure you decouple it. So that's just a couple of little points here in good old Audio Alley. We're glad to be back and making it happen. But we're going to go up where all the knowledge of this show is happening. And it happens to be in Petaluma, and they're going to tell you all kinds of things that's going on. Valerie, how are you doing? It's good to see you in the big studio.
Hey, everybody. Thanks, Bob. Yeah, nice presentation there. Well, we came here because we have a very special thing we want to talk about this week. And Dayton's coming up pretty fast. It's a little over 30 days away. And Contest University is coming up as well, the Thursday right before Hamvention. And we have a little video that Christian, if you guys remember Christian, he put this together from Contest University last year. So if you want to roll that, Brian.
Over 200 students attended the 2015 Contest University at the Crowne Plaza Hotel in Dayton, Ohio. Some of the best contesters on the planet took in 23 presentations in hopes of gaining a slight edge over the competition. Contest University also welcomed a couple of future stars from Bloomington High School South. This is Ryan Cutshall and Thomas Getz. These students represent the contest operators at the Bloomington High School South Amateur Radio Club, a talented team of young amateurs that would place third worldwide in the high school division of the School Club Roundup in February.
We've reached a point with School Club Roundup that we're ready to go on to the next level, and we've reached a point where we think we need to learn just those things that will take us just a little bit higher in our scores, because we've kind of maxed out what we're doing. And so our goal here is to try to step that up a little bit, and then we hope to participate in CQ Worldwide next year.
These students are used to making hundreds of unique contacts, scoring thousands of points, and logging for dozens of hours. But Contest University was designed to open new doors in the way that we approach contesting.
This is my first Hamfest in general, and the first one is Dayton, which is the biggest, which is an honor. And the ability to come to this Contest University, thank you to the North California DX Foundation. They granted this scholarship for my club to join this wonderful event that they have here. Contest University is amazing in what it can teach you when it comes to contesting. Every school that is serious about contesting should be here. It's a great opportunity, and this is the big leagues. That's what me and my sponsor have been saying all day is we're here, we're in the big leagues now. And every school should have the opportunity to be here to advance not just contesting, but ham radio and youth, because that's a huge thing that we need right now is youth.
CTU reminds operators of fair play and ethics, upgrades in antennas, CW and RTTY, better audio, and ways to improve your scores. Contest University Chairman Tim Duffy.
I think it's vital and it's very important, especially handing it off the right way and teaching good operating skills so that we can be proud of contesters and contest operating on the air. Everything that I learned in contesting, I learned from somebody else.
Although the guys tended to stay in the back of the class, veteran operators were tuned in to their presence.
Well, it was great to see these young kids here from the Bloomington High School. It's very exciting because I know we can get a lot more kids in this hobby. They do have that competitive spirit. I mean, you see this with the Xbox and all the video games that they do. So I think a lot of us need to mentor and reach out to these kids to try and get them into this hobby because it can only add to it. I mean, looking around these rooms, it looks like the average age is about 60. I know on Jerry's last day expedition, the average age was 64. So it's really important that we get out there and try and mentor these kids and get them as excited about this hobby as we all were when we first started in it.
This was the 27th Worldwide Contest University. It was the 9th held in Dayton. For many, Contest University serves as a forum to share ideas and to become better amateur radio operators. For this professor, passing on the teaching of this hobby and service is a way of life.
Well, it's very important because when I was 15 years old, I got very involved in ham radio because of one of my high school chums. And the situation there is, it turned out to be practically my college education. I learned how to build things and all of the many things that happen with amateur radio. It's not just talking one-on-one. That's the final part of it, but it's learning all of the technology and the science of amateur radio. And for me, it was just a great big education, and it continues even today. I learn things every day. So it's very important that these young kids take a look, because this is a real avenue of technology that can lead them to all kinds of careers.
From Contest University 2015 in Dayton, Ohio, I'm Christian, K0STH for Ham Nation.
And the Bloomington South guys are coming back again this year, right?
They are coming back, and you know, this whole program was made possible early on by the help with ICOM and DX Engineering. We got together 10 years ago, so this will be the 10th time. And with the kids in particular, we've had a scholarship program that the Northern California DX Foundation took over last year, and they're doing it again this year. And not only are the students coming back from Bloomington, they're bringing more students with them. We also have students from Wright State in Dayton that are coming to Contest University, from the Ohio State University, and from Virginia Tech this year.
Oh.
So we have 10 scholarship students, and we have room for a few more. And if you're under the age of 25 and you'd like to attend Contest University, you can just contact through the contestuniversity.com website, contact us, and we'll get you hooked up.
And if you're not under 25, you still have to come, because there's so much to learn at Contest University. If you want to roll that next slide, it's coming up. It's always the Thursday before Hamvention. There's plenty of different courses that you can pick and choose which ones you want to go to. There's a lot of great topics coming up, and there's a look at some of your professors. Oh, who's on there?
We have a new professor this year.
Don't let anybody teach
and
them.
Valerie is going to be a professor this year.
Yeah, I'm going to teach improving your scores through log analysis, because I'm an accountant by trade, so I'm into financial analysis. So I thought that's my favorite aspect of dissecting the contest after the fact. But so a lot of great classes there. There's still some spots left. Those of you who are just trying to get into contesting now, this is perfect for you. Or those who've been contesting for years, a lot of people come year after year. Jerry hasn't missed a year yet, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and he keeps learning year after year.
Yeah.
Another cool thing, Valerie. Look at all those years. Yeah.
It's a big one this year, so
number 10.
Congratulations.
Yeah, this is it is super. So
and what is that? Is that the contesting peace pipe, or what is that?
That is the soldering iron that George was going to use tonight for his PL259. But and one of the other things that's very cool about Contest University is on Wednesday night, Ham Nation is live at the Crown Plaza.
We are.
For another year. Bob has said
free pizza.
Right. We throw a pizza party after that.
Yeah.
And how about Friday night?
Friday night, that's kind of my favorite part of the whole thing. There's a band called the Spurious Emissions, led by one of our professors, Ward Silver, right?
Dr. Beldar,
yeah. And we even have a little video clip to give you a little taste of the entertainment you can enjoy Friday night.
All right, and that's just a taste. I mean, I don't know how many songs they have in their set list, but there's at least a dozen or so, and they're all popular songs, and they reworded them to amateur radio and contesting and VHF. I mean, you name it, and it's a blast. Everybody has a
They go
good
on
time.
for an hour, and you can find the schedule and some of the links to their previous performances on contestsupersuite.com. So just go to contestsupersuite.com. You can see the whole schedule at the Crown Plaza at Dayton. It's going to be a phenomenal year.
And make sure you go to contestuniversity.com and get registered. And I will be one of the professors. So I'll teach you everything I know about contesting, log analysis. So.
And if you can't make it to Contest University, thanks to ICOM, we'll have live streaming of Contest University all day. Thank you, Ray. At one of the classrooms, so you can't get the whole thing.
Not the whole thing, but the nice thing about it is you're talking about 10 years. It's never the same thing year after year after year. There's always new subjects for it, and at the rate you guys are going, you didn't mention the contest dinner either.
Yeah.
Saturday night,
I mean,
contest
there's
dinner.
so much activity going on at the Crown Plaza.
There's seats?
There's still just a handful of seats left. 500 people getting together to have a dinner.
Wow.
It's going to be fabulous.
And the thing is, there's some of the guys that never leave the Crown Plaza, not because they can't, it's because there's so much fun and activity going on.
Yeah, that's where it all is.
Not to mention the individual rooms throughout the different floors of the hotel that have their hospitality suites.
There you go.
Yeah.
The pile-up contest and all kinds of fun stuff. And can they win something at the contest?
They
dinner?
can.
Yeah,
At the
there you
contest
go.
dinner, thanks to ICOM, there'll be a brand new IC 7600 there.
Yes, there will be.
So,
There you go.
and lots more prizes.
So sign up. Seats are filling up fast. Almost sold out on both.
Almost sold out.
So that's all we've
Get
got. I think we're gonna head it over to you, Don.
Don, are you going to talk about DX Engineering?
Yeah, some little company you've probably never heard of, Tim. They're up in Ohio. You're a Pennsylvania boy. You've probably never been to. Yeah, DX Engineering, and we've got Mr. DX right there, Tim Duffy. And let me tell you something. If you ever have the chance to go up there to Talmadge, Ohio, and check this place out, you got to, because, and especially if you're a hot rod freak, because it's inside a great big place called Summit Racing. DX Engineering is part of that. And anyway, I could get going on cars, but this isn't a car show. This is a ham radio show, and I am a wire antenna nut. I love wire antennas. The only bad thing is they take a beating from Mother Nature, and DX Engineering has just started carrying the Bushcom HF antenna systems, because Bushcom's antennas have already been thoroughly vetted in the Australian outback, and you don't get a much harsher environment than that unless maybe you're in Antarctica. But that way you'll know that they won't fail when the weather turns ugly, and the weather will turn ugly. Getting into springtime, we've already had some tornadoes and stuff. Of course, no wire antenna is going to stand up to a tornado, but not the point. These antennas boast precision craftsmen. They will last for years. Most of them feature stainless steel hardware and components. The wire itself, it's braided stainless steel, just good stuff. And some of the Bushcom most popular options are available now at DX Engineering. The special HF broadband 3-wire antenna is made exclusively for DX Engineering. The BBA 100DXE, it's a special version, gives you 80 through 10 meter at an SWR under 2-to-1. Handles 130 watt CW, 250 PEP, and you can switch bands without a tuner. The BBA 100DXE, it's only about 90 feet of wire, which gives you several installation options. You can put it up just about anywhere, horizontally, inverted V, even a sloper, whatever. That's the beauty about wire antennas. They don't have to be put up necessarily right. They just have to be put up. In fact, the entire Bushcom line of BBA multi-wire dipole antennas will give you an impressive blend of performance and reliability. Available for most of the popular HF bands, yes, including top band 160. They're low profile. They give you excellent wind survivability, and these BBA series antennas are an excellent option for the no-compromise HF operator who wants to install a dipole but doesn't want the maintenance that typically accompanies a wire antenna. They even have off-center fed configurations for multiband operating flexibility. My favorite. Love those things. There are also several antenna designs in Bushcom's BBA multi-wire dipole antenna series. Visit dxengineering.com. You can see them all. And for dedicated monoband operation, Dr. Bob is a huge monoband wire fan. There can be no better wire antenna choice than the BA series from Bushcom. Either 80 or 40 meter configurations give you uncompromising performance, and when mounted as an inverted V, they have a relatively small footprint. It's perfect if you got a little tiny lot. You can see all the Bushcom available antennas right now at dxengineering.com. And of course, DX Engineering ships faster than anyone else in the industry. I've actually heard a story. A guy called me once, and he said, I made my order at DX Engineering, and I called him back like literally 5 minutes later to change something. And they said, we've already got it on a truck. That's how fast it is. It's faster than anybody else in the industry. If you get your ground shipping order in by 10 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, and if it's in stock, it will be on a truck headed your way that day, literally, in the case of this guy, within minutes. Proven products, expert advice, Tim Duffy, the whole gang. DX Engineering will help you shrink the globe. Request your catalog. Shop online 24/7 at dxengineering.com/hamnation. We thank them so much for their support of Ham Nation. And before we get into the chat room, I want to tell you about another Ham Fest. We told you about this last week, but Sucka-Sunna is just so much fun to say that I wanted to say it again. Coming up Saturday the 16th, the Split Rock Amateur Radio Association holding their annual Ham Fest. It's at the Roxbury Senior Center, Horseshoe Lake on Eland Avenue, Sucka-Sunna, New Jersey. They got QSL card checking, VE session. 146985 is the repeater. You can go to splitrockara.org or just look up into KOJ on QRZ and get all the information about this great Ham Fest, the 16th, the Split Rock Amateur Radio Association's annual Ham Fest, Roxbury Senior Center, Horseshoe Lake, out there in Sucka-Sunna, New Jersey. This just is. This just is. Let's go to the chat room and see what's going on. Hello, Amanda.
Hello. How's it going? Hey, I have a couple quick announcements, and then we're going to go to Gordo and then to the gang out in Twit House. Okay, first, KB2YSI and KB3ZUK both just upgraded to Extra. Congratulations, you guys. That test is a bear. Okay, and KB0HVB George wants us to know that the Des Moines, Iowa Amateur Radio Association Hamfest is this Saturday, April 16th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday. I already said that. Okay, one more reminder. You guys, if you're into your satellites, get out your rigs and listen for the ISS SSTV passes and download those pictures. They're pretty cool. Jeff and I got into that last year when they were doing it, and it's a lot of fun. So with that, Gordo, question about the magnetic loop. What is the max power that the antenna can handle?
The one that Jim had pictured, Amanda, was good for maybe 80 to 100 watts, no more. You really need major-sized capacitors to be able to handle a higher power. So that particular loop, it will be straining with all the amps going through it at 100 watts.
Okay, what's the recommended power then?
Say again your last?
The recommended power, about 50 watts. Keep it a little bit lower.
The recommended power, if they buy a regular manufactured one from DX Engineering, it's there anywhere from 20 watts to 50 or 60 watts. But most hams have a 100-watt transceiver. They'll let it lope at about 50 watts, and with good-sized capacitors, they're not going to arc over. But that's the big deal. In damp weather, you go hello and bango, you've arced over that capacitor, SWR goes crazy, your rig folds back, and you find a new capacitor.
Very good. Thank you, Gordo. And let's go out to the gang at the Twit House. How you guys doing?
Good. It's beautiful here.
It
I
is.
should move here so I can just do the shows from here.
There you go. I did not hear a big group happy.
Yeah.
Come on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Give it to me.
Okay. We have our students. We have our audience back
we
here.
have an audience, too.
Our fan club.
Hi, audience. Okay. So, Tim, the first question is for you. We have Pierre, who is getting RF into his, his smoke detectors, and he also says that his touch kitchen faucet is causing some RF problems when he's using his radio. What do you guys have there at DX Engineering that might be able to help out?
Well, hey, you know, one of the first things is how close is his antenna to his faucet and his smoke detector. And then number two, it may be a case of his feed line is part of his antenna system in the wrong way, as in it's radiating. So a line isolator might help down at the rig, and also making sure he's got a good choke balun up at the feed point. But it sure sounds like his antenna is real close to the house.
But there again, it could be if he's on a second floor and he doesn't have a good ground system too.
And that's where a line isolator would really help.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I don't think I'd be a happy wife if I'm in the kitchen trying to turn on my faucet and the GFI breaker next to it pops. So
not good.
I can imagine. I feel your pain, Pierre. Good luck in working that out. And Ray, one of my good friends here, W1CAT, he bought the 7300. He went to the store the first day they had it available. He picked it up, and he's just in love. You guys, he's been using a 718 and has had great success with it. But being able to watch that waterfall and everything else, I just wanted to let you know that he is, and I see these comments everywhere on Facebook, but he's absolutely in love with that 7300. So good job, ICOM, on that one.
Yeah, that's been incredible to watch the social media explode because of that radio.
And you know, one of the cool things that Ray and I learned earlier this week, and I see that Phil is asking about the 7300 selectivity, but the 7300 in the Rob Sherwood test is now the number 10 radio. It is a top 10 radio. And, you know, for $1,500, it is incredible, the receiver selectivity performance. Sure, it doesn't have a lot of the features that you could find on a 7600, like dual watch and breaking out the receiver antenna and things like that.
But that's a different class of a radio.
It is. It is. But I'll tell you, for the $1,500 radio class to be a top 10 receiver, that is incredible. And that's a credit to the ICOM engineers and the SDR technology that they used.
I've seen also in some of the comments in the chat room, I've gotten some hate email because when George and I did the video, I positioned it as an entry-level radio. And the reason why I did that is because it didn't have the dual watch. It did not have the separate receive antenna, just some of the things that you'd expect in a higher level radio, but the performance has been phenomenal.
Well, it surprised Rob Sherwood, and that takes some doing.
Well, Rob also did take the radio that you've got fully filled out in your ham shack and ranked it as number 2 on the list.
Yes,
right?
Yes, the IC 7851. But boy, I could not get over, I mean, when the results came in, you know, we had sent a radio to Rob, a random radio to test, and said, Rob, put it through its paces. And so after he was done, I said, Rob, you can send it back. He says, no, I'm going to buy it.
Oh, wow.
You know, that says a lot, too.
And there's with that radio, there's a lot of things that can be done with it, with the firmware to update it, the computer controls.
It's beautiful.
It's been exciting to watch it.
It has. Just seeing everybody's screenshots on Facebook has been pretty amazing. You've got some happy customers. That's all I have to say. Hey, thank you, Ray. Thank you, Tim. Val, the only thing I have for you is, are you guys going to go hop on one of Leo's radios after the show and get on the after show?
I was eyeing that up in between when some of the other segments were going on, and I was wanting to fire that up. There is a really old Collins back there. I don't know if it's ever been on the show. Oh, it has.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Looks pretty interesting. There's probably a Collins net out there if I can get on for a little bit.
You'd
maybe.
be very, very popular on the Collins net.
But maybe dim half the lights in the city, though, but yeah.
Oh, you guys are funny. Hey, you guys have a great time in Visalia, and wish I could be there with you. I love California. I really do. So that's all I have. Bob, I'm going to send it over to you.
Well, what a wonderful night. Wow, this is great, and I appreciate everybody being with us. And Leo, thanks for stopping by, and we'll have to have that happen more, and we'll work on that for you. And it's so good to see everybody there in Petaluma. But we're headed out of here very early in the morning to Visalia, so we'll see a lot of you there. And we'll go from there. So it's been a great night. I'm sure you all learned things. I know I did. And we'll be back here next week on Ham Nation. Tell all your friends. Tune it in. You know, it's always available 24/7. Just put Ham Nation in. It's that easy. So 7-3, everybody. We'll see you next week. And what can I say? The 7300 is a great radio. Entry level or professional. It works. So we'll see you then, everybody. Bye-bye for now.
It will.